What's going on, guys? I'm Entity Maze, here with my review on the latest Pokemon Sun and Moon anime episode 58, Don't Cry Mareanie. You lot have asked for more shipping moments in this series, and well, the anime creators delivered. Not in the way you want though. Regardless, this episode was actually alright, so get relaxed everyone, as I will now jump right into this episode review. So the episode begins off with Jessie going on a shopping spree, with James and Meowth in the back dreading of all the stuff they have to carry afterwards for her. I've experienced that before. Regardless, meanwhile, James's Mareanie spots a Corsola pendant in the shop and is amazed by it. James then sees his admiration for the pendant, but had to let it down because I'm guessing he had no money left. I blame Jessie. After Jessie had finished shopping though, Team Rocket start to walk home, and James witnesses a Frillish along the way and decides that he wants to catch it because it's a quote, rare Pokemon, end quote. James? Have you forgotten that Jessie caught a Frillish back in the Black and White series? I mean, yes, it got given away, but James acts like it's the first time he's ever seen a Frillish, which kinda bothers me, especially when Sun and Moon is so good when it comes to other series continuity. Let's just move on though. Mareanie gets jealous that James was about to catch a female Pokemon and scares it away before he could catch it, which leaves James getting mad at Mareanie, making it cry. Gotta love chibi Mareanie too. Anyway, James quickly says sorry once Jessie and Meowth explain why it was mad, which makes Mareanie show more affection towards James again. However, this is where another Mareanie appears, this one having strange colours and seems to know James's Mareanie. But once it gets closer to James's Mareanie, Mareanie just straight up slapped it, which was very funny as it came out of nowhere. The two Mareanies then start to talk though, and Meowth translates the story of what happened between the two as they just found out that they know each other. The story going that the strange coloured Mareanie, who is now being called Senpai, which is great it's being called that, really funny. Anyway, Senpai saves James's Mareanie from a Tentacruel while James's Mareanie was looking for a Corsola horn. Senpai then promises it will get a Corsola horn for James's Mareanie in the future, however the next time when they meet, it gives a Corsola horn to another Mareanie, which makes James's Mareanie sad, as of course it started to develop a crush on Senpai once she had got saved. Quick note though, why is it that everybody in the Pokemon anime seem to love another person once they get saved? Just little random trivia there. But like, seriously, it's true. Apart from Brock, he's just somewhat thirsty. But if I was the girl he was chatting up, I'll take his body any day. Sylvie, be gone, I'm all for Brock. After that story from Meowth, which was hilarious because of the voices he did though, Mareanie runs to James to show Senpai she loves him instead, even when Senpai offered a new Corsola horn. But next, Senpai thinks for some odd reason that James deceived Mareanie and starts to attack him, even rage evolving. Oh, how predictable. Because quick trivia once again, it seems like in almost every episode dedicated to a Pokemon getting mad, they rage evolve. Like, come on Pokemon anime, get more creative instead of reusing themes. Regardless of that though, James gets heavily poisoned by Senpai, and Beware then comes and takes Team Rocket away, even making little ambulance sounds. How cute. After Team Rocket then though, James starts to discuss to Jessie and Meowth, with Mareanie eavesdropping, that he feels like Mareanie is better with Senpai, because it got her the Corsola horn James couldn't get her, and even evolve for her, which shows deep care. Coming to the conclusion that he feels like Mareanie would be happier with Senpai. And this was very interesting that James was thinking this way, but it just goes to show that he really cares for Mareanie too, as he wants it to stay happy. Anyway, Mareanie of course didn't agree with this statement and gets sad, leaving Team Rocket sitting on the beach sad, with Ash, Kukui and Brunette then finding it and taking it into their house to look after, even promising that once they see Team Rocket, they will give Mareanie back to them, which is actually really caring despite Team Rocket doing many bad things to Ash. When everybody goes to sleep though, Mareanie then starts to think about its time with James in a montage, which was actually really powerful. I didn't expect it to be, but thanks to this, you could tell how much James and Mareanie care for each other. Like damn, I was feeling really sorry for Mareanie. Really nicely done. The next day though, Mareanie wakes up early and takes a breather outside. However, a tentacle then appears and tries to attack it, and this is where James then comes in and kicks it out the way, which was super awesome, explaining afterwards that he was really worried when Mareanie left, but he still believes he will be happier with Senpai and tries to push her towards him, who came along. However, the emotion here was high. I was actually sad. It always happens when a Pokemon is about to get released for me, especially Team Rocket. Remember Arbok and Coffin? Oof, that was very depressing. Regardless, James accidentally makes Mareanie fall over and it cries, which angers Senpai, and they both agree to have a battle over her, and whoever is the winner gets to keep Mareanie, as we are both tired of seeing it cry. They just wanted to be happy, which actually makes sense. But my god, the actual battle was very comedic. Like, I didn't laugh, but it was built to be funny basically. Anyway, James wins, which makes Mareanie happy too. The episode then ends off with a tentacle appearing again, and James threw it so amazingly that Senpai then fell in love with James, which was actually very funny for me, like, best ending ever. Reminds me of when Meowth and Oshawott fell in love with a Purloin in the black and white anime, but it was revealed that it was a boy towards the end. Don't know why it reminds me of that, but yeah. Anyway, let's now move on to my overall thoughts on this episode. Firstly, for the story, I expected this episode to be bad based on the previews and summaries that we got. However, much like episode 57, I ended up enjoying this episode a lot. In fact, when I think about it, I always end up enjoying episodes centered on Team Rocket or just one Team Rocket member. I love the Team Rocket trio, especially James. This episode was another nice reminder of his caring personality, which is something that I adore about James. Deep down, he ain't really bad. He's a really nice dude. I mean, think about this too. All his Pokemon captures are him befriending the Pokemon. He doesn't battle them. That's really sweet. And if it feels like if they need to leave him, it's for a good cause. Much like in this episode. Until the twist where they decide to battle over Mareanie, but still. Overall, as you can probably tell, I just really like seeing James in this episode, and it reminded me of all the other really caring stuff he has done in the past. It's not as good as the other stuff, but still, this episode was very nice for what he did. Anyway, let's now go back to why I thought I was going to dislike this episode. That was because I don't like the idea of Pokemon loving humans. So, to see a love triangle episode just made me go ew at first. But surprisingly, I didn't mind it in this episode, simply because the high emotion shown between James and Mareanie, the flashbacks were very touching like I said, and Senpai had a nice little interesting character. It came back just for Mareanie, yet Mareanie thought it loved another. What a somewhat twist. I will also say though, that this episode actually made me like James's Mareanie more. Let's say if somebody mentioned James's Mareanie before this episode aired, I'd reply, oh yeah, that Pokemon, it's alright. But for now on, when somebody mentions James's Mareanie, I'll go, oh yeah, Mareanie was funny and had a nice episode. That should be enough for you guys to work out what I think about his Mareanie now. Anyway, with all the pros of this episode said though, let's now move on to the cons, as there were quite a few. Firstly, the family. I feel like they didn't have to be in this episode. Mareanie could have just slept in the wild and have those flashback. This always happens, guys. Mareanie could have just slept in the wild and have those flashbacks. Plus, if you think about it more, what the family did for Mareanie did not help her that much. She didn't eat the food. All she did was get a warm bed, which doesn't matter that much like I said. The only reason they were shown is because Ash is the main character, which made it feel really forced. I'm sorry, but that's how I just see it. Next, I also don't like how predictable this episode was. Once we saw the first 5 minutes, the rest of the story was very obvious, which took the surprise factor away. And finally, for these cons, I really wish Senpai's colours got explained, as it's not a shiny Toxapex. But yeah, we just have to live with that. Anyway, with all those cons now said, let's now move on to the animation and music aspects of this episode. Firstly, for the animation, it was fluid throughout the whole thing, and there is one highlight I can actually say, as of course if you saw my previous reviews, you would know that there was no highlights for me to say. Anyway, this episode's highlight for me is the art style they used in Meowth's story. It made the experience more funny and fit very nicely to the story. As for the music aspects though, I love the side tune that played when Mareanie cried for the first time in the episode. It's also kind of funny how they set it up. And finally, the Team Rocket theme during the battle surprisingly fit well. And as always, this Team Rocket theme will always be cool. With everything I have said in this video though, mostly the story section this time around just by thinking about it. Anyway, I've decided to give this episode a rating of 5.5 out of 10. It was alright, with enjoyable features. However, I can understand why some people would dislike this episode, and I'll respect your opinion in the comments below. Regardless, be sure to comment down below what you actually thought of this episode though. I'd love to hear. And well, that now concludes it for this video. So if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and a subscribe for future Pokemon content. It helps out a ton. For now, this is Entity Maze, signing out.